Howdy, and welcome to What I Wish I Could Say, the heartfelt, humorous podcast hosted by me, April Spencer. Today we are talking about Traitors Season 4, Episode 6, with our beautiful guest star, Emma Stewart. Emma Stewart McEnery, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You knew me as Emma Stewart. I only became Emma McEnery later.
I was literally at your wedding, but yes, Emma Stewart McEnery. Yes, so happy to see you. It's been a while. What's new?
Okay, well, in the very recent, small things, I got new blinds last week, but I'm actually really excited about it because we moved into our current house, 2 years ago now. And so each year I've been trying to, pick little things at a time. We redid the floors, which wasn't little, but right when we moved in, and the old, wood slat, dirty, yellowing blinds has been something I've wanted to do to get rid
Mm.
of since we moved. So we finally got that done. Now we have shutters in the front, honeycomb blinds in the back, and I'm with all the snow this weekend, now I can, see the falling snow out my window without being annoyed at my old ugly blinds.
Aw, that's great.
Um, what's new with you? I don't know if you wanna, go back and forth because we obviously have a lot to catch up on.
Yes, okay, let's go back and forth. So my first thing is obviously I'm pregnant.
Mhm.
I'm 35 weeks tomorrow. And I've also had a cold this week, so that's been really tough. I'm like genuinely getting super uncomfortable. Having trouble sleeping. I've been having like prodromal labor, which is where like you just like randomly will have a weird contraction out of nowhere. Um, and so it's been uncomfortable, but I'm really excited and hoping that everything goes smoothly. It's like getting down to the wire. So I have a
Mhm.
friend from work who she is like she has always been like a month ahead of me in her pregnancy. And I just saw before we started recording that she posted she had the baby.
Yay!
It was 10 pounds 8 ounces. And I was like, oh no, I didn't need to know that because now I'm like, I can't handle that.
Have they said how much she weighs right now for you?
um, they did at 32 weeks and it was 4 pounds 3 ounces, which they said was 37th percentile. So she was like kind of on the smaller side at 32 weeks. Um, so I didn't have any reason to believe that she's going to be that big, but it was just scary to me, like knowing this woman and like having seen her go through her pregnancy and then to be like, whoa, you got like an 11-pound baby. Like, whoa.
Ouch.
But yeah, I'm excited. So
So when is technically your due date?
it's technically March 2nd. I had a premonition that she was going to be born in February. Like before I even got pregnant, I had a premonition from like angels that was like, you're going to have a girl and she's going to be born in February. So I do feel like she's going to be born in February. But March 2nd is our like official due date.
Well, and I feel like first time moms tend to go early. I feel like I hear people going earlier far more often than late.
Okay. That's
So
what happened with my sister-in-law. Her first was early and her second was like they had to induce her. She was like not ready, not going to come out. So yeah,
very exciting. It's gonna come so fast.
I know. I know. It's like it's already feeling like it's just speeding up, like especially with the prodromal labor stuff. It's like, okay, now I kind of know like how it's going to feel, I think. Like it's obviously going to last a lot longer than it did. But it's like I'm starting to like grapple with the like how it's actually going to feel and like,
Mhm.
ooh, I'm excited.
Very exciting. What else is new with me? Nothing as exciting as that, I'll say. We've been traveling a lot. So this past year, we were in Mexico in February, which was just a more relaxing trip, obviously. And then we went to Ireland in July with Brendan's family, which was exciting. We went to where his grandpa grew up and They showed us around. That was really fun. And then St. Louis is getting a direct flight to the UK, to London. So Brenda and I are right now planning like a London Cotswolds trip that I'm excited for in March.
That'll be beautiful. That'll be so fun. I bet the flowers will start looking good in March there too, because that's like a big thing I think in the Cotswolds is the flowers, right?
I think so. I don't know. I hope. I don't really know other than that it's gorgeous and it'll be relaxing. Like we're hoping to do um like a breakdown between like city kind of more like more stuff to do, kind of fast moving, and then the second half of the time there it'll be like peaceful, relaxing, just like
Yeah.
chilling in small towns. So that'll be good. And actually the reason I'm going, I don't know if you remember my like obsession with Star Kid, but they're
Yeah.
a show that they did in 2018 and then they did like a remastering of it in LA over the summer. They're opening it on the West End. So when I found out they were coming to the West End in March, which is like all of their West End debuts, and that's a month after the direct flight to London from where I live. So I'm like, who am I to defy God's will for me to see Star Kid in London? So
That's
this
amazing.
whole trip is planned around that.
That's
But I'm really
awesome.
excited.
Sounds like fate. Yeah, that's gonna be so great. Yeah, I can't wait to hear about the. I didn't even realize they had a show in LA. That's awesome.
Yeah, they kind of operate. There's a segment of them in Chicago, but most of them are in LA and they'll do a show every like year or two.
I'll go with my second what's new. Quit my job. Um,
I wondered because your Christmas card said that you weren't working, and I was like, is she taking leave early? And I wanted to ask, so I'm glad you brought it up.
no, I quit. And I'm really happy.
Congratulations. Yeah.
You, yes, um, definitely was the right choice. So yeah, I'm just focusing on being a mom, hopefully for the next year. And then after that, what I would really love to do is be a writer. And so I've been like kind of working on a couple of different like ideas for books. And that, but also just trying to be creative. That's kind of part of what this podcast is like, you know, like just putting myself out there kind of and just like getting comfortable with being visible and like, yeah,
It'll be good. It's a new chapter.
yeah, new chapter. So I'm excited. And yeah. Okay, what's your next? What's
Okay,
new?
this one's a little bit heavier, but it does have like a happy ending. So I'll just preface it by saying that. Um, Last year was really tough. I don't want to get like I'm going to get emotional. My dad's leukemia came back. We found out about a year ago that that was the case. And long story short, he ended up getting his third bone marrow transplant in May in Atlanta. So I'm sure you remember, like, the year before my wedding was when he had his second one. And that was really scary. And this was worse. But his first two transplants were self donor, but based on like the fact that the leukemia came back again, then he was like that option was no longer available to him, which is a bummer because obviously a donor transplant is riskier, but at the same time better there's a better chance of it sticking.
Right.
And actually through like studies that they've done. I mean, I'm by no means an expert on any of this, but they are able to do like family donors now. So, like, as his kids, my siblings and I are only technically half matches, but the research on like half match transplants is now um, basically that they can be just as effective as full match third party donors. So my siblings and I all underwent testing to see who would make the most sense to be a donor. My brother was selected because if you have a male recipient, it's better to have a male donor, just for like immune response reasons. And so my brother donated in May, and then my dad underwent about they were in Atlanta until about November with recovery, just going in every day and making sure that, there wasn't like graft host or any complications there. And then right before Thanksgiving, they were told that they could come back to St. Louis, which was really exciting. And he's been doing chemo ever since the transplant to keep up his like response to the cancer. And then right before Christmas, he went back to Atlanta to do a biopsy of his bone marrow, and everything looked really good. And they told him that he no longer has to do chemo for the time being. So that was a really nice Christmas gift that they were home. He's done with chemo. So, unclear, who knows what the future will hold, but he's doing really well right now. And I'm glad to have him back here and getting back to being able to do fun stuff together. So it's a happy ending, but it was a long journey to get here.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, I remember all that happening right before your wedding, and that was so scary. And then, yeah, now it's like years later. I'm so sorry y'all had to go through that. But so glad to hear that your dad's doing better. How's your brother doing?
Good. Yeah, it definitely was, I think, like an overwhelming process to do the donation, but I mean, the recovery is pretty minimal. So he came down to Atlanta for a week, did the tests to get like final approval, did the donation, and then the following week he was back home.
Okay, good. Wow, that's such a like amazing thing that your brother did, and like that's so
Hmm.
beautiful that like your dad and your brother like can share that
Well, and
experience.
now technically my dad is like 100% biologically my brother. So one of our family friends was saying to my mom, like, you have quadruplets now. Because
Yeah,
for the listeners, I'm a triplet. So now that he's biologically the same, there's four.
that is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's a miracle story. I'm so glad that he's doing better, and yeah,
And we're all
incredible.
like, third time's a charm. This one's
Yeah,
gonna stick.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
the
Well,
doctors are amazing. And we always, like one thing I wrestled a lot with was like, why three times? Why does it keep coming back? Why does this is not fair?
mhm.
Um, but I keep coming back to like each time that he had the transplant, research and medicine has come so far. And so it's kind of like the other two where he could be a self donor, we're almost tiding him over to get to this year where the research was really strong on like child parent donation and things like that. So I do think things lined up for a reason to get us here, and that makes me feel more confident that, this is the right one.
Yeah, I'm so glad that like it sounds like y'all have as a family really like thought about it and talked about it and like processed it. I think that's really, really beautiful, and like, you know, hope is so important in healing, and it's like y'all like you're really smart people, so it's kind of I feel like sometimes it's hard to be a smart person and have hope, but you guys are like using your intellect and your like beautiful bond together to like build hope, and that's beautiful.
And shout out to my mom too, because she was an amazing caretaker for him and sacrificed a lot to be in Atlanta and make sure he was all good. So
Aw,
yeah, the caretakers are important.
for sure. Yeah, shout out to your mom and your brother and your whole family and your dad, and we're all so glad that he's doing better, and yeah, this is the one.
And we had a really lovely holiday season, and it was just, yeah, I feel like I was extra thankful to have them here and have the whole family in town over the
For
holidays. So
sure, yeah. Yeah, what a celebration, I bet. Yeah.
mhm. So anyway, I didn't mean to like get heavy there, but that was like a big thing that
Yeah, that sounds like a
has
pretty
been
big
happening.
thing.
So
My last one is not gonna be as
well,
intense
I
as that.
started with window treatments and went like up from there. So you just did the opposite.
I did do the opposite. I because my next one is about this little thing. that I made this week.
Ooh, let me
I'm
see.
making I'm making Violet a mobile to go in her above her changing table. Because I was
Mhm.
reading, you don't actually want to put it above their crib because you want them to be like not stimulated in their crib so that they sleep. You want them to be distracted when you're changing them though, so you should put the mobile above the changing table. So that's what we're doing. And I had a dream that she was going to be really into horses. So I'm making these little purple
Cute.
yeah, that's what I've been
Is
working
it
on.
hard? Like, how long did that take you?
This one took me like maybe like 3.5 hours, but I also made a prototype before this that took me probably like in total like 6 hours, and it turned out terrible. So
Trial and
I'm
error.
trial and error. Hopefully it gets faster after this. I just have two more I think I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna do some like stars and the moon and some
Cute.
clouds.
Are you all gonna do purple horses or different colors?
All purple. I have different colors of hair, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna like just keep it all the same color hair, or do use the different colors that I have. But yeah, that's the plan.
I love it. I've been trying to be more creative too because I feel like it's such a good outlet and you have the like satisfaction of having created something.
Yes. Yeah. My grandmother was like super, super creative, and like I have a bunch of her stuff, but she's been passed away now for like 5 years. But like I have like pillows and quilts she made. I have like a painting she made. Like I just have all kinds of stuff that she made, and it's like so special to me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Cool. So do you want to get into the memory section?
Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. Oh my gosh, I have so much to choose from.
So I can
Okay,
go
okay.
first.
Yeah,
Do
you
you have
go
one?
first.
Okay, I'll go
Yeah, I
first.
have one, but you go first.
And you can offer your perspective on this too, because I think I'm gonna just go with like kind of our first meeting and our like first encounter in class. So Emma and I met in law school. We were the same year, and my memory of like the first time we actually met was it was like orientation week, so like we hadn't started, and there was like an after party at someone's apartment, and somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, like, have you met Emma yet?" Because they somehow somebody asked me if I was in a sorority in college. I guess that was a question that people asked back then. What I don't know why that was
I
relevant.
know that feels like 8 worlds ago. It's a different life.
Totally different life. Like I'm like, why did anybody even ask you that? But I think they did. And I said I was a tri-delt, and they were like, "Oh, well, have you met Emma? She's a tri-delt. She's right over there." Yes, Delta, Delta, Delta. And so I went over to talk to you, found out that you also lived in the building next door, and that
Literally right next door.
literally right next door, and we lived there all 3 years of law school, which is so
Mhm.
great. And then found out that you had gone to Oklahoma, University of Tulsa, and that we were like in the same section. I think is when we
Yeah,
found out.
all the same 1L classes we had together because they grouped us all into groups of like 30 students and you had every single class together.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, I got to get to know this girl. Like, obviously, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with her.
And didn't
And then,
we go to like a Game of Thrones watch party or something? So it was also
is that
like
what it was? That actually, I think that's what it was. That's
yeah,
what
so it
we're.
was also the added like we have interests in common too.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Like, I totally forgot. That's what the party was a Game of Thrones watch party. Oh my gosh, talk about like being an eternity
Back
ago.
back when it was like really good and we were all like, I can't wait to know how this ends. Womp womp.
Oh my gosh, yes, literally an eternity ago.
We
Um,
were like, oh my god, they have ice dragons. I can't wait to see what they do with this. R.I.P.
Wow, R.I.P. Wow, I was a different person with different hopes. Um, So sad. Hilarious. So that we met at that party. That was super fun. And then I remember on the first day of contract, that was like our first class ever.
Yep.
And I remember like listening to the questions that you asked and being like, oh, like she's really smart. And I was like, I already have a ton in common with this girl, but like now I'm also thinking strategically. I'm like, I need to be in this girl's study group. And I always tell that story and like I like brag on myself a little bit because Emma was the top student in our law school class and I like clocked it that first day. I was like, this girl's going somewhere. And I like tied my wagon to you and like it was great. So
Oh, because I remember it was like it must have been halfway-ish through the semester when we were starting to think a little bit more about finals, and people were like, "Oh, you gotta have a study group," and I, like, started panicking because 'cause I'm like, I don't know who to ask, I don't know what to do with this," and you texted me inviting me to join your study group, and I was, like, so touched. And we had, like I mean, obviously, it was a very effective study group and helpful, but also I feel like we had a lot of fun, like, I don't know, we would take the practice test and then we'd all just, like, vent and get takeout and, like, we made it fun too, which
and
I'm,
I think
like,
that's
so
why we
thankful that you
did
thought of me for
well.
that. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we did well is because we had fun. Like, I think like you were, you were my study group. I was like, Emma's going to be my study group. Like, I already had that planned. And then I was like, I, you had so much fun with the final thing. I mean, it was really hard. It was rough on us. But I remember that first year. That's when you sang the song from Moana. Was that the first year?
Yeah,
You
I rewrote the lyrics and then I would sing it when I was stressed too, how far I'll go, but it was how long I'll watch about me, like, not being able to stop watching TV and procrastinating studying.
And like that, I think was like proof of your genius and like why you like ended up doing so well is because you did stop and prioritize like fun and creativity throughout it. So like we had so much fun and during our study groups. We did like work really hard, but we also had fun. And I learned a lot from you during that period of like how to like actually work hard without punishing yourself and burning yourself out because you would stop to like get good food. You would stop to like write a little song to help with coping with all the stress, you know. And I remember thinking like you also did a lot of like teaching during the study group. Like you would like kind of stand up and like explain to us like what how you got what you got. And I noticed that as a pattern, like for the rest of law school, through all my study groups, the people who did that, not just you, but like other people in other classes, they
Mhm.
were the ones that always ended up doing the very best in the class. And so I just like learned a lot about learning from you.
On it, we all learn from each other, and I'm grateful for that too. And I don't know, I think for me, like the best way to get material down in law school, because you're learning how to think like a lawyer, how to analyze questions, spot issues, obviously to use a law school term. And the best way to get that ingrained is just to have conversations with people. And so to surround yourself with smart people who can have like intellectually stimulating, but also fun conversations, who are kind, who are giving, and just to be able to have like an open back and forth dialogue. I think to me, that's what like sets it in your head. And then I mean, that's what I appreciate most about my job today. Like if I'm on a file where I can be collaborating and we can all be throwing ideas out and having different perspectives. Because in work, as in law school, I'm not going to catch everything. You're not going to catch everything. All of our experiences and unique skills are going to inform how we look at things. And when like we can all come together and do that, it's really good. So, okay, I was thinking also about you like texting me and asking me to join the study group and like how excited that made me. Um, but I'll also say, and this isn't like so much one memory as like a series of memories, but I think it relates to this podcast. Um, we obviously watched Bachelor, Bachelorette, and the goated Bachelor in Paradise every week together, and I don't know, like, when you asked me to be on this podcast, I was thinking about how obviously we watched in person together during law school, but then after law school, until the show kind of went off the rails and kept casting terrible leads, we would watch every week and then like FaceTime about it. And so that, I don't know, those just kind of reminded me of our FaceTimes, like talking about who we love and who we were annoyed with and all those kinds of things. So I hope, not that I'm gonna take credit for your whole reality TV journey or anything, but I hope that it has been part of it for you.
Oh, 100%. That is those conversations that we had, which we kept for years. We really went for years with that. Because it was so fun. Those conversations are like the prototype to this podcast for sure for me. And definitely like an inspiration when I learned through that experience of like watching the Bachelor Bachelorette franchise and everything with you guys and you and Grace. Like reality TV isn't just something you consume. It's not as fun. It's just something you consume and then move on. It's
Mm-hmm.
more fun to use it as like a vehicle to connect with other people, like your friends and your family, and like that's what this podcast is. So yeah, no, it's totally like connected.
I love it. So I'm excited to get into it.
Great, me too. Okay, so episode 6. Here we go. So the first thing I wrote down was um, I just love Maura's accent, and I guess
I love everything about her. She's so hot.
she is really, really attractive. It's like insane. But then she opens her mouth and she says, "Has the traitors murdered someone?" And
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, like the accent just does not match the beautiful face. But
I
it's
love it though.
super entertaining. And like
It's like,
Philip and I,
has the traitors murdered everyone? Where's the salmon? Have you clocked like every breakfast? Everybody is like, where's the salmon?
yes, they've been like posting about it on social media. I've seen so many people be like, "What's wrong with the budget? Like, get them more salmon, like so everybody can have salmon in the morning."
Well, and I think it's because the food is so bad, but it's like raw salmon is one healthy. They're all probably counting their calories for better or for worse. You can't mess it up because there's no cooking involved. So it's what everyone wants. And if you end up going to the breakfast last, there's no salmon left.
There's not enough salmon. It's so sad. Yeah, she is one that is always like, "Where's the salmon?" Like, I can't even do it. But seriously, Philip and I like every day now, like at least once a day, one of us is like, "You're a traitor!"
Was it that accused her? And she was like, Michael, I think.
Yes.
Or who
Uh,
was the one that was like, I heard really light footsteps, so it has to be her.
yeah. Who was that? It wasn't Eric. Oh, it was
No,
Ron.
because
It was Ron. That's right.
I'm sure we're gonna get into Ron later, but that was one where I was like, Ron, I love you, but like, what are you doing? But honestly, and she did say this, I would take that as a compliment. Like, you heard like light steps, and you're like, has to be this skinny bitch. Like,
She's
I'll take
like
it. No
a
one would
fair.
ever say that about me, so I would take it.
Yeah, she did say it was a compliment, and she does. She looks like a fairy, so I see where his mind went there, but it just wasn't the best evidence. Um, yeah. Okay, so this breakfast. I said Johnny's outfit is great. He has that little like black hat with the little like beaded tassel thing.
Mm-hmm. Love
Um,
it.
very cute. We learned that no one took a shield, so there was no murder.
Which honestly, uh, I mean, I'm not super surprised because it would have been a huge risk, especially when you have a huge group of faithfuls being so upset at the thought of anyone taking a shield and saying like, well, if you take one, we're just gonna banish you.
Right.
But I don't know, when at the end of the challenge they opened up and it was 4 shields, which I thought was a genius move by the producers, and shout out to the intern because there was probably I was thinking like the logistics of this, there was probably one shield below every statue, and then when they figured out what the last two were gonna be, they have some intern like running to plant the other three. Either that or they like held off the coins for those statues. I don't know. I always like think about like because there's no way the last two just so happened to be the only two with four. They
That's
engineered
a
it
really
that
good
way.
point.
I thought it was genius. Yeah, and I'm surprised, especially that Colton didn't go for one.
Right, because he had two traitors in his group too. I was thinking about that. Like it was
So
Colton.
they would have gone like, yeah, you're not going to suggest it as a traitor, but if he's suggesting it, you're going to be like, sure.
Did we? Yeah. Who was the fourth person in that group? I can't remember. Because I'm like, they must have been the one that was like, no, we're
Hmm.
not doing it. I don't know.
I don't remember who it was either. I want to say maybe it was another housewife. I don't know. But you're right. They were probably the ones that were like, they're going to banish us if we take a shield. So,
Yeah, I
but
was surprised.
I also think it was a huge loss for the traders not to be able to banish because especially it we're still in the early stages of the game, but we're getting farther along. And the further along you get and the faithfuls kind of secure their alliances, there's a core group of faithfuls who are now emerging who are never ever going to be banished because they have their little group, they all trust each other implicitly, and the only way those people are going to get out now is by being murdered, and you only have so many opportunities to murder before you
Right.
get to the end. And then if you have a group of 5 or 6 faithfuls who are confident that each other are faithfuls, then they have the power to vote out not just anyone they think is a traitor, but anyone that they're not totally positive about. And
Right.
so you have to break up those alliances early on as a traitor, and not having an opportunity to murder really screwed them up. I also think they would have murdered Colton, which would
Mm.
have been amazing and would have totally changed this last episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait, who do you think is in that group of like the solidifying faithful?
Johnny and Tara, who are never going to turn on each other,
True.
Mark,
Mm-hmm.
Eric, those four for sure. I think would never. Oh, Mara. Like no one's ever gonna vote out Mara. Sorry, Ron. Those five. I think Rob is in there, and
Yeah.
he's the one who is in there and shouldn't be, but they don't know it.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, those are the ones that. I mean, Rob is gonna potentially, which we'll talk about, get some heat on him. But those other five, I just don't see their names getting thrown out unless something crazy happens.
Hmm.
What about
Interesting.
you?
Oh, I think that's a good theory. I was thinking also like I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not sure, but Kim was very like vocal about Colton. She's
Mm,
been vocal for the past two episodes, and like she's trying to consolidate power. I don't know how successful she is becoming
yeah,
though.
and it's such a risk too because if you're too vocal as a faithful, I think that just ends up you become an easy target because no one wants to point a finger at someone who's pretty quiet and unassuming, and then they're going to look like a jerk if they get up there and say they're a faithful. But if you're loud, if you're controlling the group, I mean, you have to be right because if you get somebody out, other than people suspecting it's like traitor on traitor accusations, you know, if you take a swing and you hit, that is a pretty good evidence that you're a faithful. But if you start flinging accusations and you're wrong, then it's just going to get, you're just an easy person to get turned on, especially this season. I don't like, I'll be interested to hear if you agree. I feel like people have a, how do I say this? They're extremely averse. They don't want to point fingers. They feel really bad, way more so than last season. They feel extremely guilty accusing people, and they feel extremely upset if they get it wrong, as opposed to just being like, hey, that's just part of the game. We didn't get it this time. We had good evidence and it just didn't pan out. But this time, I mean that's what happened with Ron. One, he unfairly got a lot of heat because he had legitimately good evidence. If any one of them, including either of us heard Portia saying what she said, you have to bring that up at a roundtable. I think it would be far more suspicious if you didn't do anything with that. You literally had her saying, "We murdered." You
Why
have
did
to say
she do that?
something.
Like I cannot get past it. Like, why would
But
she
if you
do
hear that, you're going to say something. So it's like, so one, the fact that he got blamed, and then the other piece of that with him getting out this last episode, I think it just really shows by the end, most people there did not think he was a traitor, but nobody wants to, other than a couple exceptions like Colton, nobody wants to be the one going out on a limb and throwing out a new name. So you're just voting for Ron because no one's going to be mad at you for voting for Ron. It's the easy thing to do rather than taking a risk. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because if they're not willing to go in and really accuse people and lay out evidence, and then the people who are willing to do that end up, if they're wrong, they then are under suspicion. It's kind of a different game. And I saw Mark commenting online how he's watched a bunch of seasons, like not just US, but UK and some of the other countries at seasons of Traitors as well. And one thing he had put in his notes before the show was, do not be a leader too early,
Hmm.
because it ends up backfiring. And that's why I think it's interesting how Colton is playing, because well, first of all, he's just annoying. He's a stalker and I need him off my
Yeah.
TV. But that aside, he objectively is playing a bad game. Like, strategy wise, coming in that strong this early isn't good strategy. And he has to know that. And so I think a lot of people think this, he is just after the Dylan Efron edit, which
Yeah.
he's not getting. Rob's getting the Dylan Efron edit, but as like the bad guy. So it's kind of fun having that like turn on its head. Like the kind traitor instead of like the ultimate faithful. So he's
Yeah.
not getting that edit, but you can tell he thinks he is.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely like trying to follow in the footsteps of like Pilot Pete. Like, it doesn't seem like he's actually invested in trying to like find traitors. He's invested in like how he appears on TV. That seems to be what I am reading. But yeah.
And his little smug smile every time he like accuses someone, and you can tell he's like at the round table, he's trying to hide it and he literally can't. Ooh. And it just, the most unfortunate part of it all is he's right about Lisa. Like, you can't deny that he's correct and his reasoning is sound. Like, at least when he was so off base, it was like, haha, you're so smug and you're so wrong. But like with Lisa, he's right, and he's one of the first people to be right. I guess technically Monet was clocked her as well, and then obviously that was
She
Monet's
picked the wrong
downfall.
person. Yeah.
Which I saw online. Apparently, Monet has said that Candace and Monet had like a secret pact that we didn't get to see, which is why Monet felt so comfortable telling Candace that it was Lisa. And it was just horrible timing. If Monet hadn't said that, Monet would still be here. Or if Monet had said it to enough people, because it was perfect for the Traitors. Like, the only person who knew that Lisa's name was said was Candace. So they
Right.
can, and that's why they needed to get Colton this past episode, but then they weren't able to murder anyone, because now Colton's told everyone and their brother it's Lisa, and he's basically now insulated from being murdered.
Right. And even if he gets banished next, Lisa's gonna get banished right after that
Well,
because
when he gets up there and says I'm a faithful, then they have to take seriously what he said before he left.
exactly. Yeah. So
Uh,
Lisa's
I
days are
still want
numbered.
him. I want him banished. Although, did you see Danielle's video where because she has come out really vocally against Colton online, and she's like, I don't want Colton to get murdered. I don't want Colton to get banished. I want him to make it to the end, and I want Rob R to be there and look him in his smug face when Rob says I'm a traitor.
Wow, that would be that I would watch that for sure. But yeah, I just don't want him to be on my TV for that long. So
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. My dream ending, and I want to hear yours, is I mean, I think Lisa's days are numbered. Candace is playing a really good game, but ultimately, I want Rob to be the last one left. I want him to recruit Mara, and I want Rob and Mara to win it all.
okay, that's perfect. I don't have a better one than that. That's perfect because they are so cute together. Like
And they're
when he
so
was like
kind. Like
carrying her.
they're genuinely so kind.
Yes, yeah, he's a good guy. He's definitely yeah. He's getting the Dylan Efron like perfect man edit. And it's well
And you know what?
deserved.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. Yeah, I think that his. We'll get to him at the round table a little bit later, but I for now I'll just say I think that he's made me even like rethink how I like think of what's a good game, like what's good strategy for a trader, um, based on this episode because he really like votes with his heart, and it's like I think it was great. I think that like that was really smart and it looks authentic because it is authentic, you know?
Well, we can wait and talk about the roundtable later because I have strong thoughts about that don't necessarily align with yours.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm excited. I'm
Little
excited.
teaser for later.
Okay, I'm excited. Okay. Anything else you want to say about the breakfast?
Sorry, I totally derailed us.
It's okay. This is
um,
what podcasts are.
no, but I loved Alan's outfit.
Oh,
Was
yes.
was that
Okay.
the murder tank top?
No, that was earlier. I loved that one too. This was a pearly brocade kilt and sash that he wore.
I mean, they're all
Uh,
good. They're all so good.
they're all good. I will say, I felt like the first three episodes, there were some misses a little bit that were not my favorite, but the murder kilt was amazing and it had that like matching Roman centurion thing that he wore over it for the challenge.
Mhm.
Beautiful. And then this one for episode 6 was it's like a brocade kilt and sash, and it kind of had like a pearly gold coloring to it. Very beautiful. Loved it.
Mhm.
Um,
And also shout out to everyone in the cast for doing their own hair and makeup every day and doing it twice because I was looking into this. The fact that they get in their full glam for breakfast, change into their challenge outfit, and then change back.
yeah, it sounds like a really like difficult filming. Like it's all include like it's tough, long days, and then like you get dirty during the challenges. Sometimes you get in
Yeah.
water. And it's like you have to go back and shower and redo everything and put the same outfit back on. Oh my gosh, that would annoy me so much.
And that's another shout out to Mara. Her hair and makeup looks professionally done every day. I don't know how she does it. Like, that is not my strong suit. And yeah, she looks amazing every day. And not that like you have to be in full glam, but I respect her and her abilities.
For sure. Yeah, she looks amazing every time. I'm sad that we don't get to see more of Monet's outfits because
I know.
really good outfits and loved like the glasses. She was like wearing a lot of like kooky glasses and stuff. So sad that we didn't get to see more of that.
Yeah. I was devastated for Monet to leave. I feel like we didn't get to see as much of her as we could have. And honestly, again, had it not been for the one comment, at least that we saw, to Candace saying Lisa's name, there's no way it would have been Monet.
Yeah, yeah, because they were saying she was doing really well in the challenges and everything too, and like, yeah, that was a bummer for sure. Um, okay, so we have like an extended scene after breakfast of people kind of just like chit chatting and talking. Um, Colton is talking about going after Ron at the round table. Rob and Ron are like off playing a little chess game together, being cute.
Love that scene. Also, like, one of the only happy interactions I feel like Ron, at least that they showed us that Ron had. It was so sweet. I did feel a little bad when Ron was trying to make Rob feel better by being like, "You'd be such a great traitor." And it's like, "Oh, honey, if only you knew." But I just feel like that was one of the only times we got to see where Ron felt like genuinely included, listened to, where he didn't feel like he was being like attacked or, and that was really sweet to see. And I wish we could have seen more of it because I think Ron was a sweetheart. And yeah, it's a shame.
It is, yeah. And I've seen him on social media, especially this past week, talking a lot about how he felt like pretty bad the whole time he was at Traitors. And yeah, I'm glad that Rob was there to kind of like make him feel a little bit better about it before he left. Because that
And
was
that scene, which we'll talk about later with the round table, I do think was like pivotal in Rob's thinking about what he wanted to do, who he wanted to vote for.
true. I totally agree. Yeah, and then we get Johnny. He's like, we only need 8 votes, so he's like trying to consolidate that group of 8, going after Colton, right?
Yeah, and I will say this season more so than last season, like people are not sticking to what they say ahead of time. Like their roundtable, I think, has been way more key in swaying votes, but it also makes it very hard when you're trying to take a big swing. Like for example, last season, Boston Rob knew how everybody was going to vote. He knew who the votes were on lock. And I mean, some of that I think is just people were listening to him, but I do think this group of faithfuls is just much more prone to wavering and being persuaded at the roundtable. And again, I think it just puts it in a really difficult position for the person who steps forward to give the accusation because you just have you just can't be confident that you have the votes that you think that you have.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and it is different than past seasons. It feels like the roundtable really matters, and what's said at the roundtable really matters because it does change people's minds in the moment. It's also interesting because I feel like this is the first season that they did something that I have been begging them to do since season 1 of watching this show, which is vote out the bad faithfuls. They finally voted Michael out relatively early in the season, and they explicitly were like, I don't care if you were a traitor or a faithful, you are distracting. That's why you're getting voted out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Well, and oh, go ahead.
ew.
Sorry.
I just think that that's really good precedent for further seasons of like, this needs to happen. Like, this is a Michael Rappaport situation. Vote him out now.
Because he wasn't helping. He was derailing every conversation. He was making people miserable because of how rude and combative he was being. And it was Eric that said, this is a win win either way because either we get a traitor or we get a bad faithful out. And I thank him for saying that and being the one brave enough to say it because it's so true. There was no downside to that vote.
And it's good, especially given the fact that they have this group of people has this tendency to be swayed at the round table, instead of like staying locked into their previous votes. I mean, I guess from like a entertainment standpoint, I think it's kind of a good thing that they're able, like the roundtable really matters. People aren't, except for like Candace, I guess, people aren't like going into the roundtable and like saying like, I don't care what anybody says, this is how I'm voting. It makes it more entertaining. But on the other hand, like you said, it makes it really hard to whip votes and like really risky to be the one standing up and accusing somebody because you can never know for sure how your argument's going to land, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And there were people in the conversation that you referenced after breakfast with Johnny who were like 100%, I'm voting for Colton, I'm with you. And they voted for Ron.
Yeah.
And again, I think part of it is they felt like Ron was a vote that nobody was going to blame them for because everybody had been saying Ron's name. And so it's this fear of like, well, if I vote Colton, then and we don't get him out, does that make me a target of Colton? But it's like you guys talked about this ahead of time. You knew you had enough votes to get Colton out. If you just stuck with it, he would be out. So
Yeah.
that was a little frustrating to me seeing that there are traitors who are allied to each other, but they're not sticking with what they're going to say. And I think it's okay to say, I'll let the round table sway me, but then don't tell your fellow faithfuls, okay, I'm with you on this vote for Colton if that's not how you're, if you're still thinking.
That's a good point, and I wonder if maybe next episode, hopefully, I would hope to see some conversations that are like, "Hey, you switched your vote," like explain that to me. Because like you said, it's one thing we've seen in the past. We've seen people say, I don't know how I'm voting. I'm waiting till the round table." It's one thing to say that explicitly. It's another thing to make a promise and then change your mind at the round table with no accountability. I think that is definitely something to be addressed. So maybe we'll see those conversations next episode.
Yeah, it would just make me very much not want to be in like Kristen's shoes leading the charge against Colton because I just think she can't really know who's going to back her. And again, if she comes in loud, then she's one that I think could have heat on her moving
Yeah,
forward. Her, and also I've started to get worried about Natalie just because she comes on so strong with the shields. She was the one where when they got to the house this episode, who was like, if you take a shield, we're banishing you. And I do think other faithfuls are going to look at that and feel a little attacked, or like, why does she care so much?
yeah, yeah. Philip and I saw her do that, and we were like, it was like the tone of it was aggressive, but we had been saying people need to like actually have a boundary about the shields, and like, so it's like on the one hand, it's like, yeah, it's a little over the top, it's kind of threatening. On the other hand, though, it's like that's the only form of accountability they have.
I know. Well, and I
So
agree with her, to be clear. I just don't I just worry that it's gonna affect her gameplay because it does come off as combative. And especially like we've been talking about, when you have a group of faithfuls who aren't willing to point fingers at their friends, if you start being the one that people perceive as aggressive, you're gonna become the easy target, even if they think or they're not sure whether or not you're faithful. It's like, well, you're kind of being distracting and making us scared to take shields. In her defense, she's been very consistent. She's been the most pro shield person from the beginning.
true. Yeah.
But the quieter people this season are the people who are doing the best. It has served Rob extremely well so far. We'll talk about what could happen moving forward after this, because I think this roundtable kind of changes everything for him. But
True.
yeah, the quieter faithfuls are definitely, I think, in the best position right now.
Okay, so we have that. Is there anything else you want to say about those little like pre-challenge conversations?
I'm good.
So now we get the cabin challenge. And Alan, he's doing this thing where he has like his morning outfit, and then when it's time for the challenge, he has like a jacket or like something to go over it. And this jacket I love because it was like unexpected. It had the like pearl and gold theme, but there was also like leopard print and like polka dot print on the sleeves. So it was like, wow.
I'll say Peacock, more Lala, please.
Yeah,
I need
where's
more
Lala?
Lala. I know. She's been in it. Is Lala a girl? I think so. Anyway,
I think
Lala's
so.
been in it a little bit, but I would like more Lala, especially like when Lala's little outfit coordinates with Alan's.
Me too. Yes, it's so cute. Philip and I are always amazed by that dog because they never show her like running around like a dog would at like if they had a freaking like Scottish estate to just like run free in. Like our dogs would not sit in that little basket if they were like outside with these like rolling hills and everything. They would be gone. But Lala's like, oh, I can't get my paws dirty. I have to stay in my basket.
I saw
Yeah.
in an interview that Alan did, they asked about Lala, and he said that every time, which isn't often to be fair, that you hear Lala bark, it's literally like a dog voice recording from a different dog, because Lala literally never barks. So they have to like get someone to record it. So there is a dog voice actor out there who has a job because Lala won't speak.
I can't wait
Lala's
to
just a
tell
dog for the
that.
people. She's getting work for her fellow dogs.
Yeah.
She's on her best behavior.
I can't wait to tell Philip that because just been like, this is not a dog. This is just a person in a cute dog's body that's like, oh, I can't get my paws dirty. I can't bark. Like, I don't want to disrupt anything.
Yeah, love it. More Lala, please.
Love it. Okay, so we get the cabin challenge. First thing they mess up. It's a very well designed game, in my opinion, that they messed up Louise Clark and Louise Black right off the bat.
And they
Uh,
had both tombstones out there. So
they
they
had both.
yeah,
Yeah, that
they
was
were
very
thinking
well
through all of
done.
this. And the fact that they probably would have heard them say black, except they wanted out of the cabin so badly that they were just, like, gone.
Yes, that was so funny. Yeah. So that whole game I thought was fun to watch. It was entertaining and well designed. What do you think?
Agreed. I wish that these episodes were all, like, 3 hours long because I would have loved to see more of the clues. Because in the montage where they're all, like, doing the clues and shouting things out, I mean, some of them seemed fairly intricate and complicated. Um,
Uh,
I don't know, and I love puzzles, so I would have liked to see more of that, but they did a really good job because they only got was that the only one they got wrong? And they technically got it right, they just didn't hear. So they figured out all the puzzles, which I thought was impressive. Did you catch because this was the cabin, I think, where they did the dolls last season, and they had a couple, like, references to the dolls?
yeah, didn't the dolls like didn't they say something as one of the clues or something? Or they like
Yeah,
scream?
one of the clues was I can't remember if they did it backwards like before, or if it was I don't know, it was something where the doll was saying something and they had to interpret what the name was. So I appreciated the throwback because that was like one of the best challenges last season.
Is that the one where what was his name?
Tom
The
Sandoval.
Sandoval. Is that the one where he was like doing the singing and like what?
Oh,
Yeah, he
yeah, he was
wanted
like warming up. He was like, guys, I'm gonna do all the singing. Let me like do my warm ups.
beautiful, beautiful. He was a great character. Yeah, that was that. We've seen that cabin multiple times before, and it's
Yeah.
always like disgusting maggots and like fear factor type stuff going on. But yeah, it was a good game, and then we had Jam Jam almost taking a shield.
Mhm. Because who was Jam Jam with Mara? And then she was like, "Didn't you hear what Natalie said?" Uh,
Yes,
I think Jam Jam would have done it if not for Mara, which I do think Mara helped him out because Jam Jam has finally gotten the heat off of him. Like people have moved
yeah.
on, and had he taken a shield, it would have just come piling right back on.
I think you're 100% right. I think Mora like helps him out a lot by doing that. Jam Jam, it's really funny. Philip actually like gets really annoyed at Jam Jam. I think he feels like he's not a gentleman, and I'm like, I think Jam Jam's funny. Like I enjoy watching him. He's very selfish, but it's like he's fun to watch. He's funny. But Philip gets really annoyed because like there was a point when he like stops and tries to get the shield. And Moira's like, no, don't do that. They go to the correct tombstone, and then Jam Jam, like when the person like reaches the hand out with the money, they both kind of go towards it to grab it, and Jam Jam like pushes Mara out of the way and like grabs it himself.
Ooh, I don't
And
think I
so
clocked that.
yeah, it was very like gentle, but you do see it. And Philip was like, "See, I told you, like he's so selfish. I hate him." And I'm like, "Geez, okay." But yeah, I think that's
I don't
funny.
know. Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. I don't have a huge issue with anyone. Obviously, I did with Michael, and I do with Colin, but everyone else, I'm kind of like fine with. I have my favorites, obviously, but no one else really annoys me to the level of like a Michael or a Colton.
Same, yeah. Both of them definitely annoy me way more than Jam Jam. But yeah, we'll see.
Can we also
Um,
talk about the amazing strategy of Johnny being like this the whole time and then he had his hood up? I love that. That would have been me. Like, I'll be in there, but like, you're not gonna see anything but my eyes.
he was prepared. Yeah, he was like, "You're not gonna like throw stuff on me and it get in my face and my eyes." Yeah.
One
Um,
thing that I do wish, the three that made it to the very end, Rob was one of them. I don't remember who the other two were. I should have written that down. I feel like they should have done something for them where it's like, okay, you guys stayed in the cabin until the end. Like, you get a shield and you don't have to tell anyone else, or something to like up the stakes a little bit. I don't know. It just felt to me like it was missing something that you have like these three people who made it to the very end. Everyone else has been back in the castle, like changing clothes, doing their hair, eating. I don't know. I would have appreciated them getting like a little secret something.
that did feel anticlimactic because I think all they did was tell them that nobody took a shield, and it's like
Yeah,
that's
and
not enough of a reward for staying in the cabin.
interesting that they told them because obviously the past episode it was a big reveal. Like, does anybody have a shield or not? And I remember like last season, if there were only one or two shields available, part of it was the traitors didn't always know unless, they were friends with the faithful who had the shield and they told them. They didn't always know who had the shield. So they were risking murdering someone who could be safe. And we haven't seen that at all this
Right.
season. In fact, I'm curious your thoughts on the fact that up until really this episode and the last episode, it's been less, you have a small group with shields and the rest are up for murder, and more a small group up for murder and the rest shielded. And I'm curious if you like that or not.
I think that it's an advantage for the traders, honestly, because even though they have fewer people to choose from, the thing that messes up the traders over and over and over again every season is when they start to like kill people based on personal stuff and they
Right.
don't keep killings random. And there's something about limiting the pool of options. It was the same thing with the secret trader. They like limited the pool of options and it was like a semi-randomized element that they add into the selection process of who gets killed. And I think it ends up benefiting the traders. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I do agree with that because it's harder to blame them for killing X person when they only had a choice of 4 or 5 people.
Right.
Um, I wish it was more of a mix though. Like, because I
Yeah.
do think it definitely emboldens people at the round table if they know they're safe, which maybe that's the production reason for doing it. Of if we have 12 people who know they're safe, those people are all going to feel comfortable talking at the round table. But this group of faithfuls isn't that comfortable, like I've already
Does
said,
not have
making
that
big
effect.
accusations. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see if they continue with that theme or if now it's more down to like only a few shields and they're going to play up the angle of like the group not wanting others to have shields. Um, I think it's that's been interesting to me to have. I don't know. It definitely changes the dynamic when they only have a choice of a few. And when the faithfuls, I mean, and the traitors, but obviously most of them are faithful, are choosing who they want to be up for murder. Cause that's, I think, an added data point as well of like,
Right.
who don't people like, or who do people think are safe. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like it's interesting too that like they haven't been able to capitalize on all of that. Like when you're talking about the faithfuls getting kind of input in who loses the shield and who doesn't. It's like if they really banded together and had they don't really have time to is the thing, but if they were able to
Hmm.
band together and talk about it strategically and be like, we think these people might be traitors, we should make them up for murder because then we can like have an extra data point that like if they don't get murdered over and over and over again, and like we have like a smaller pool of people that like these people always end up being safe,
Mhm.
that's another like piece of evidence to like weed out traitors. And it's like maybe,
Another Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just gonna say like that it would be a better like it would be better for the game overall, I think, if they were able to like actually utilize that better, but they can't.
Totally. I think another data point too that I never see people talking about on the show, and maybe they do talk about it, and because I'm sure so much gets said that we don't see, and this would be something probably that they don't want, like that production wouldn't want to pick to be in the final edit. But like the order that they come into breakfast is huge because obviously you're gonna put who, if there's only a small amount of people up for murder, those like 5 or 6 people are always gonna be the very last. But then, like, for example, if there's a traitor in the pool, us as the audience knows that traitor's not going to get murdered. So they usually, of like the 5 up for murder, the 1 or 2 traitors will be in the first group coming in. And then the last group coming in will be like the 2 or 3 that at the previous episode, the traitor said, we want either this person, or this person. And so for the audience suspense, those are the 3 they save until the end. And I'm surprised I don't hear more people saying, like, okay, Monet got murdered, but these 2 people came in last, so they must be on the traitors shortlist.
Right. Yeah, you don't hear them talking about that very much. I wonder if like that's one of the things because I've heard of a lot of people in multiple seasons that like I took pages and pages and pages of notes, and it's like maybe there are some people who've tried to keep track of that and just haven't been able to be successful because that is such a huge amount of information to try and keep track of with like how many people there are. Maybe they just haven't been able to like successfully utilize that, but
And I'm sure, like you said, some of them are clocking that, like, Mark saying he researched all of this, he watched all these seasons. So people have to know, and maybe that's just not comments that the production wants to put in, because then it's
right,
like getting too meta.
maybe, yeah. Um, I want to hear your thoughts about the secret trader idea since we didn't get to talk about those episodes, but just overall, like, what did you think of that whole
I don't hate the idea of the secret traitor because something Brendan and I were talking about, like those first couple episodes, was it does kind of put us in the shoes of a faithful, where when they were coming up, after the roundtable, up until Donna revealed it, those first couple of roundtables, we were like, they could be a traitor. We don't know. So you're like a little more on the edge of your seat of like, what are they going to say? And you can do like a little sleuthing on your end. I wouldn't want all the traders to be hidden because I do like getting to see their strategy in real time. But if it's one of them, I think it's kind of a fun balance of like we get to kind of play too. So I like the idea of it. They never should have picked Donna. If they were going to put her as a trader, she needed the support of the other traders because you're going to put the one person who is not used to being on TV, doesn't know literally a single other person there. Everyone else had at least one person like from their reality TV universe that they could lean on. I just, to me, it was kind of throwing her to the wolves and setting her up for failure. They needed someone who knew more people, who would be more confident going in, who would have that strategy to do it alone. So, yeah, long story short, I liked the idea of it, but the execution with picking Donna, it was just not a good choice. And I don't think it was frankly fair to Donna. And actually, when Donna got out and then they went back and showed her reaction to getting picked, and she was like so excited and like, oh, I'm like ready to create chaos. It like broke my heart because I'm like, you never even gave her a fair opportunity to do that.
Yeah, totally agree. With literally everything. I saw that apparently I didn't read the article, but I saw Peacock apparently like somebody released an article that was talking about like basically like they didn't know Donna was going to do such a bad job as the secret trader, and I was like so infuriated by that because they just should not have picked her. Like it's not because of her skills. Like when you saw her at the round table, she actually nailed it at the round table. Like she did an amazing job. But it's just like she sticks out like a sore thumb. She's not like famous like the rest of these people in the same way. She doesn't have anybody else to lean on. She's meeting all these people for the first time and being on TV in this kind of reality show situation for the first time. That's not the case for anybody else. And then they give her, for the very first time ever, the role of secret trader, a brand new role where she
Mhm.
doesn't get any support from anybody. And it's like, I think that the stress of that, it's just impossible to cover that up, completely. I think everybody around her could just smell like how stressed out she was. And it's so sad.
It's easy for us sitting at home to think like, "Oh, we'd kill it on the show," but when all those cameras come up and you're surrounded by, like, celebrities, I mean, celebrities is a little generous for some of the people, but you're, like, surrounded by people you've seen on TV, you have a bunch of cameras in your face, you have all these producers telling you where to go. I think it would be very overwhelming for anyone who's not used to that, like me included. And then, yeah, I just think it makes it a lot harder to act naturally, to have normal conversations with people. And so, to your point of like the production saying, "Oh, we had no idea she would, not be a super great secret trader," it doesn't take a genius. And I
No,
just think they set her up for failure. And I read that too, that they like had this whole arc planned for her. And it's like, I don't know what they were thinking. And I do hope this doesn't make them go too far in the other direction, because frankly, I do like the fact that in the turret we have two housewives and somebody from Love Island, and they're all knocking it out of the park. So I don't want them to overcorrect and just put gamers in the turret next season, because I also think if there's a gamer, I mean, we saw this last season, they tend to run the turret and call all of the shots. And I think this dynamic of teamwork is one that I really enjoy watching. And again, you can't fight success. They're doing a great job. So hopefully there's a better balance moving forward, and they can learn from that. But yeah, the other thing too, how I was saying, like, you don't hear them talk about, like, break the third wall on, like, production would put these people first or last at breakfast, or that kind of strategy, with the exception of Donna, because everyone was like, oh, they would totally make her a traitor. So everybody saw it coming. Everyone saw it coming that production would think, oh, this sweet old lady will make her a traitor. So it was so obvious. And I think they set her up for failure in that respect too, because she was the obvious pick. Everybody saw that, and it played out
yeah,
exactly as we all would have expected.
exactly. Yeah. And I honestly think she could have made it a lot farther if she was just a regular trader, like,
Because she would have had people sticking up for her.
right. But just putting her in that secret trader role with no support and like with nobody like knowing who she was to protect her, like dumb. I hope that they don't. I would like to see the secret trader thing come back because I, like you, I liked having a little bit of suspense. I want to. I don't want to like not know who the traders are at all, but I do like the like not knowing who it was. Because honestly, I thought it was Portia for sure, and I thought she was just completely like screwing it up by like just word vomiting. She even said there are four traders, and she's the only one. Like, if she, the only the secret trader would really be able to know that. I think.
Yeah, she just happened to get that right. It was just such bad luck.
And
And again,
poor
how
Ron,
could Ron how could Ron not bring that to the group's attention?
he would look like a traitor if he didn't. Like, he had no choice. And it just like he just got absolutely shafted by her. Like, oh my gosh.
And then
I just
people online
don't
were like, "Well, don't you know she's dumb?" Like, sorry he was, like, giving her the benefit of the
like, dumb is one thing, but just like she was just lying. Like, I
No,
don't know.
I literally think she didn't mean to say it, or, like, didn't realize what she was saying. I don't know. That whole situation was a mess.
Yeah, a huge mess, and poor Ron just like paid for it week after week after that. But anyway, yeah, I hope that they do try the secret trader thing again and just pick someone better suited to that role. Because I would like to. I enjoyed that aspect of like not knowing who it was. But yeah. Let's see. Where are we? Okay. We're back after the challenge, getting ready for the round table. Rob is already going around saying that he's not going to vote for Ron and freaking the other two traitors out. What do you think of all this?
I mean, can we talk about Rob overall? Because I feel like it's hard for me to answer that question without like going into his overall strategy.
Yes, please
And
do.
in his talking head, I think this was during the roundtable, he did say, like, this is a pivotal roundtable for me as a trader in this game. And I totally agree because this is the first time that he's had to pick between people either like Ron, I think he genuinely obviously considers a friend. I don't know whether or not he considers Colton a friend, but certainly a powerful ally. So, like an ally and a friend on one side, and a fellow traitor on the other. And I just think voting for Lisa was the absolute worst choice he could have made of the three. You have Ron, who, yes, I know he felt bad, but I'm sorry, this is a game. Like, yes, it's good to have friends. And I actually think it's good gameplay to make a lot of friends because we keep seeing, like, poor Ron was ostracized and he didn't have people sticking up for him. And that's why he became such an easy target. So, to an extent, having friends is part of the gameplay and it just makes it a more fun experience. But at the end of the day, nobody, including Ron, would have been mad at him for voting for Ron. Ron clearly wanted to go. And I just don't think it would have been held against him at all. It would have just been like a throwaway vote to the extent of like, well, he wouldn't have any way to know this, but Ron was leaving anyway. And you just can't read into that because everybody was saying Ron's name. Then you have Colton, who I get that he didn't want to alienate himself from Colton if there was a possibility that Colton was going to stay, which is obviously what happened. But at the same time, that's clearly the obvious person for the faithfuls to go after next. He's extremely loud, he's extremely vocal. To Ron's point, why have you punished Ron for getting it wrong and not looked at Colton, who's gotten it wrong more times?
Hmm.
And I think with people feeling so guilty about sending Ron home and the way that they treated Ron, it will make sense that in their guilt, they're going to look to Colton. Um, so I, and no one is saying Rob's name. Nobody suspects Ron. The only two people at this point with the power to start saying Rob's name and take him down are Lisa and Candace. And he has now told both of them that he cannot be trusted. And every season, I feel like when the traitors stop working together, that is the downfall for all of them. Because again, they
Yeah.
have power over each other. They're the only ones that definitively know who the other traitors are. And so if Lisa and Candace can't move past this, I feel like it's the beginning of the end for Rob, and I hope he can move past it and explain to Lisa his reasoning and regain their trust. Um, but it makes me really worried, and I feel like yes, he made the choice. Like to your earlier point, he followed his heart. He didn't want to vote for his friends, but he needed to be he's team trader and he needed to back up his fellow traders at least at this point in the game.
Hmm.
And I just think it was a huge miss for him that he didn't do that.
Yeah. Here's my puppy.
Oh, hi.
This is Summer.
Oh, the summer like the snow.
She does. The first time she went out, she was like, no, thank you. But she's been like going out longer and longer every time, and now she likes it.
Does Callie
So
get
far,
along with Summer?
yes, they're adorable together. It's like she's like making Callie act like a puppy again. It's so cute.
Oh.
Yeah, we're really happy with how that turned out because after Vito passing, it was like Callie just like didn't have enough to do,
Mm-hmm.
because she was just like her whole life was just like playing with him and then like messing with him when he didn't want to play with her. And so we were like giving her, we had all these like dog puzzles that we would give her like 3 times a day, like just to keep her mind occupied.
Mhm.
But now with Summer, she's like, she's so happy. It's adorable.
Love
Um,
it. Okay, sorry.
but
I need your thoughts on Rob and his choice.
yes. Okay. This is like, it's like an intuition thing. And I think it's similar to a choice that Candace made earlier, which I thought was a really good choice. Because my whole thing with the Traitors is like people mess up as traders when they try to control things too much, when they are too over involved and they try to push buttons and put people's names out there and, like game too hard. It's like, don't you be passive unless you are forced to be aggressive. Don't give any input unless you're forced to. But Candace started making me change my mind a little bit on that when she spoke up for Tiffany. And that's because I really felt like that was authentic of her. Like I really think she thought
Mhm.
it was unfair that Tiffany was getting targeted, and instead of like artificially keeping silent, I think she was like, if I was a faithful, I would speak up against this because this actually matters to my heart. And then when it was revealed that Tiffany was a faithful, it made Candace have all this credibility and look great, in my opinion.
Mhm. And I think there was some strategy there too, where she's like, Tiffany is a great faithful, and I know she's on my side. So she's an ally I want to keep. And I think that's when the situation is the best. Like when what you want to do for your friends matches up with what's good gameplay for you, like that's the perfect combination.
Um, and that's why, and this is now that I've listened to you talk about it too. Like I'm starting to like change a little bit of what I was thinking with Rob because I still stand by the fact that he didn't vote for Ron was good. And that's what he had told Lisa and um, uh, Candace that he was going to do. And I'm really glad that he didn't because I think he felt authentically bad about kicking Ron out. And then there were other people at the table too, like Tara. A couple other people like spoke up and they were like, guys, stop. Okay, it's not Ron, right? Like
When
we
he
all feel
started
this.
going around saying bye to everyone, and then they're all looking around like, we messed up, guys.
Right. And it's like I think that Rob would have looked more like a traitor, and I think Lisa and Candace looked like traitors because they didn't go with their gut on that. They didn't like vote with their gut, and they voted for Ron because that's what they agreed to do as traitors. So I think that Rob changing his vote and voting authentically, like it's not Ron, was smart. I'm not completely sold on now is the vote for Lisa because that was more strategic where he was thinking Colton is my really close ally. And it's
But
like,
so is Lisa.
so is Lisa. And it's like, also, like, Colton's days are not, but both their days are numbered, honestly. Like, that's what I think. Um, but more so
Yeah.
Colton, I would say at this point.
Well, but
Uh,
it's also like once your name starts going around, especially with this group, it's gonna come to a vote for you at
right.
some point or another, especially when we have so many people who are flying under the radar whose names haven't been said. Again, it's easier for them to go off what somebody else has already said. And to be frank, and I hate saying this, Colton's evidence was legitimate. Like the fact that he's saying she usually has a certain personality when she's on TV that we haven't seen out of her. And now we're seeing it, but it took him accusing her to bring that out. And I mean, I have to think people are going to take that into consideration, especially once he gets out and tells everyone he's a faithful. Then obviously they're going to look at who he was, pointing fingers at. And I do think I will say Rob was 100% in the right for like when Colton point blank asked him, what do you think about Lisa as a traitor? I thought he handled that perfectly by saying it's plausible. Because on the one hand, it would put way too much suspicion on him and put him in an unfair position if he was like, I totally disagree. But he also didn't pile on, oh, you're so right. Like he just kind of kept it neutral. I thought he played that perfectly. And I didn't start being upset with him until the roundtable. Now, the fact that he was telling people, I really don't think it's Ron. I'm not going to vote for Ron. Then I do agree with you. He had to go with that and be true to himself and not vote for Ron. I just don't think he should have necessarily been saying that. And then now he's put himself into a corner where he can't vote for Ron because he's made very clear that they're friends and he believes him. But he doesn't want to vote for a fellow traitor and he doesn't want to vote for a very loud and potentially powerful ally. Um, it's so tough. And I think for him, it's really just going to depend. Can Candace and Lisa let it go? I mean, if I'm Rob, I'm going to be saying, I knew between Ron and Colton, there was not going to be enough votes for you to get out. So it was a low risk vote for me to do to take suspicion off of all of us. And hopefully they believe him. But I think you bring up a really good point with Candace and Tiffany, and it made me think of how good Candace's gameplay really is because on the one hand, she when she knew that it wasn't going to screw up her fellow traders and their overall game, she fought for Tiffany and it went really well for her. But at the same time, she also had a very powerful ally in Monet. But the second Monet said, Lisa's name, she brought it to Lisa and she agreed to let Monet go. And I could have seen a very real situation where she kept her mouth shut because she likes Monet. And, if Lisa goes, she wants to keep Monet around for her own gain. But at the end of the day, when she needed to, she put the traders first and showed that she's loyal to them. And I think it's unfortunate that Rob has now kind of showed his hand that he's going to put himself first.
True. And like you said, with Lisa, her days are numbered, but it's also he's broken trust with Candace. And that's the real issue, I think.
She is the only one at this point who I think there's any chance would even mutter his name. And once your name's been said, it's out there. And I think it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
Yam Yam
Even
has done it, but only because he's made a lot of effort into making friends.
true. Yeah. And also because the main loud voice against him was Michael and nobody listened to Michael.
But again, I'm thinking like now that we're getting some of the loud people out of the way, hopefully maybe Colton soon. Like who are going to be the next people that will emerge as targets? And it could go back to Yam Yam. Kristen, I think, is in trouble because she
Yeah.
has been loudly against Colton. And again, if you're a traitor, you're going to want to get Colton out. And maybe that is going to end up being good for Rob because they're going to say a traitor would have voted for Colton. Um, I mean,
Do you
there's
really
just
think
so many
a
ways
traitor
this could go.
do you think a traitor, like, besides Lisa, obviously, like, Colton has said Lisa's name, but, like, overall, like, Colton has been good for the traitors so far, wouldn't you say?
Yes, because he's loud and wrong, and that changed the second he said Lisa's name. I mean, otherwise they would have killed him episodes ago. But when you're wrong and you're whipping votes in the wrong direction, yeah, that's great for them. That's why they didn't kill Michael. But
Right.
now I think now that he's actually stumbled on a correct answer, I think he's too big of a threat. But now he's so big of a threat they can't kill him. The only way they can get rid of him is banishment.
Right.
And if they have to let the faithfuls do it because if they go too hard on it, then it's going to get turned around on them when he stands up there and says, "I'm a faithful."
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Rob is in a tough, tough, tough spot. Because if he voted against Colton, I think that would be really hard to repair that ally relationship. And it would also be like, why are you protecting Lisa? You
Well, and
know?
Colton's paying a lot of attention to all that stuff. I hate to say it. But I mean, his
Right.
comment of like, I'm going to say Lisa's name and you look and see how people are reacting to that. I mean, so
Yeah.
I really think it could go either way for Rob. I don't like traitor on traitor violence, so it just scared me. But if particularly Candace is willing to move past it, I don't think it's necessarily fatal, but it's really in Candace and Lisa's court.
True. I think it's I think honestly Lisa would be more likely to let it roll off her back than Candace right now, just because based on Candace's reaction at the round table. I was almost like, Candace, you gotta act more upset. When they revealed that Ron was a faithful, Candace
Mhm.
didn't like go like, oh no, like I'm so shocked. She voted for Ron over and over and over again every round table for like I don't know how many in a row. And then she was like not shocked that he was a faithful. That looks terrible because but it was like she was so overcome with her anger at Rob that she like forgot to act surprised that Ron was a faithful. And I was like, "Oh, she's mad, mad." Like
And their conversation in the kitchen, like yelling at Rob, was so risky.
crazy risky. All three of them. I couldn't believe Rob wasn't like shut up and like leave the room, because that was crazy risky. That was in the kitchen. Like everybody's in the kitchen.
And I do think production was probably, like, peeing themselves with glee because the timing of, like, we get our very first traitor I say turning on, I really think he thought Lisa was not gonna get out, so I don't think it was a total betrayal, but I see why Lisa and Candace saw it that way. So we have our first, like, potential traitor on traitor betrayal into a murder in plain sight so they can't talk in the turret. Like, where the plan that they had discussed was we need to go after Colton, and that was before Colton went so hard on Lisa. So now Lisa by herself has to make this decision. And also, like, Colton's not going to go near her.
Right. Oof.
So I just like the
Excited for
timing
this.
of it all was like perfect. And I don't know if you've seen, but like Alan has teased since before the season premiered. He's been like, episode 7, there's going to be a banquet. Pay attention because it's the most carnage we've seen in all 4 seasons at this banquet. So Alan is like really hyped up the banquet being like the most shocking and or dramatic thing that he's seen in his 4 seasons of filming this show.
I'm
I'm
excited.
so pumped. And like everyone has like crazy outfits, which thank God because when they first showed that jewel for Lisa, I'm like, this is gonna be so obvious. And then I saw like Colton's stupid, I don't know what his thing is. Rob's in a corset, can't wait for that. Like everyone's, in fact, I would say her jewel is like one of the least over the top things that's gonna
Yes.
be at the table.
Oh
So
man, I'm so excited.
but it's like
Yeah.
the only people who are gonna be inclined to touch it are like her friends. Like, "Oh, look
Yeah.
how cute my thing is." Like, so I don't know. If I were her, I feel like I would have let Candace wear it because Lisa already has heat on her, and now Alan's gonna announce to the group that someone got murdered after, I don't know that anyone's gonna be observant enough or even like to know this is a thing to be like, oh well, they touched her brooch. But if they were gonna clock it on anyone, it's gonna be Lisa because Lisa's the only one with heat on her right now.
Yeah, I felt the same way when Lisa volunteered. I was like, why? Like, I was like, do you feel like you're like dragging the group down and you're trying to make up for it or something? Like, I don't know. I felt like that was a weird choice for her to volunteer because there was already heat on her at that point.
Yeah, I
But
probably would have sat that one out because there's nothing for people to trace it to anyone but Lisa.
yeah,
Assuming they don't have to like converse about it, which I don't think that they do based on the fact that they talked about it in the turret.
right.
Anyway, I'm like so pumped. And
Me too. I can't wait.
I'm
Um,
excited like the more people who are getting out, especially the lad people, I feel like we're going to get more from people we haven't heard as much from. I've been loving Eric. I think he's so funny whenever he has like a talking head or a moment. So I'm excited to get more from him. I don't know, like Mark has shown that he's been doing a lot of strategy, but he hasn't been getting any screen time. Natalie is so smart. And other than the Shield stuff, we haven't heard a lot from her. So I'm excited to start to see more from some of the people that we haven't heard a lot from, because there are certain people taking up more screen time than maybe they need to be.
Yeah, I totally agree about Mark. I'm so glad that he's made it this far, because I watched him on Dancing with the Stars this season because
Mm-hmm.
he of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and everything. He is a brilliant choreographer, and when I found out he was going to be on Traitors, I was really excited to like see more of him. But I got convinced very early that he was going to go home early because he had such few moments of screen time and like said so
Mm-hmm.
few words. But he's made it far, like episode 7. So yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see them kind of come alive a little more. The only other thing I had about the roundtable was there was a point when Colton specifically said, "I play this game recklessly." He used that word, and that really pissed me off. Maybe it's the lawyer in me, but I that it like summed up for me like why I hate watching Colton on this show, because recklessness is not a virtue. Recklessness is not something to brag about or to say is like a goal of yours to have in this game or in anything. Recklessness hurts people unnecessarily. And it just pissed me off that he would like own that word as though it's a good thing. And it's like, I hate people like that.
Well, and that's why I think he cares more about his edit and getting screen time than like actually winning the game, because yeah, the way he's playing, he can't possibly make it to the end. He's extremely loud, he's extremely combative. And then like his whole thing with Lisa, where he was thinking he was so clever, being like, I'll protect you at the round table if you protect me in the turret. Number one, he doesn't have the power to protect her at the round table. He's
No.
one person. And now, we're seeing this group of faithfuls evolve separate from him, who do have a majority if they start actually sticking together. Um and also, like, what traitor would ever take that deal? Because once you know that they're a traitor, like, you can't you it's impossible for them both to win. I guess Brendan did say he's probably thinking like, if they work together, they can get the other traders out, and then Lisa could recruit Colton, and then they could win together. But that is just like, that just would never work.
Mm-mm. No, I feel like he just said that to provoke her, and
Yeah.
it was so stupid.
And if you were gonna do that, you shouldn't be like super rude to them before you do that. Like, it makes sense if they're a friend of yours, but they're not friends.
They're not, and like I would have been offended if I was Lisa, like whether I was a faithful or a traitor, because I'm like, do you think I'm stupid? Like that's how I felt. He was like treating her like she was stupid on
Yeah.
purpose.
With his little smirk.
Yeah, like everybody knows that none of that makes any sense and wouldn't work. It's like he like literally just is trying to be like, I know you're a traitor and I think you're stupid. Like,
Well, and again, it's
yeah.
been interesting to see their interactions on social media, because obviously Colton was extremely rude to Lisa. We also see, Lisa feeling betrayed by Rob. Yet, Lisa says nothing but kind things about Rob. Like, when he posts, they're like in each other's comments, hyping each other up. And she has nothing but bad things to say about Colton, because again, we all understand it's a game. You have to make strategic choices that are good for you, but you can do that while being a kind, decent human being. And Colton is just going total scorched earth. I don't understand how he doesn't see how that's coming off, because in his mind, he's like the hero of the season. Um, but yeah, he's just not being kind about it.
He's not. He's being reckless. He describes himself very well. And that's what makes me so mad is it's like, he even has the self awareness to call himself reckless, but he's like, that's who I am. Like, I hate people like that. Hate
I
them.
just I don't know why more faithfuls didn't vote for Colton. I was like pretty shocked at the breakdown. And had Rob voted for Colton, it wouldn't have been enough. It would have been a tie.
Right.
which I don't remember. We did have a tie before, but I don't remember how they resolved it. I want to say it was by like chance.
Really?
I
Oh, I
can't
don't.
remember. I feel like if it was between 3 people, they did a revote on just the 2 that
Yeah.
tied. But then if it tied again, which did happen last season, I feel like they like flipped a coin. I can't remember. It was something like totally it was by chance. Because I
Wow. Okay, I
remember
didn't
being
remember that part.
frustrated with that. I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yeah, I don't remember that part. I remember the revote. But I believe you. I'm just like, oh, that would be so upsetting for it to go on chance.
Yeah, so a tied vote results in a runoff vote between the tied contestants, but if the vote remains tied, it results in a game of chance,
Wow.
which I would not have liked.
I don't want to see
And I
that.
get that like they need to banish people every episode to like keep it moving, but I don't know. At that point, don't banish anyone and let the traitors like secretly murder an extra person. I don't know. I just feel like there's a better way to resolve that than like flipping a coin.
Yeah, that does
Because
not feel good.
and like if by chance someone gets out and they're not a traitor, you're gonna immediately look to the other person.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. But that
Crazy.
I mean it would have been interesting at least. And I do not think a runoff between Ron and Colton would have resulted in a tie. Like if the
Right.
votes for Lisa had to. And I wonder, like, I do think if Rob had been forced to vote between Lisa and Colton, or no, excuse me, Ron and Colton, he would have voted Colton.
You think so? I hope so.
And I definitely respect the votes more if it's like, this is my true feelings. I do think a lot of faithfuls have been voting just what they think the majority will be so that they're in the majority and they don't have to explain themselves, as opposed to like who they actually think is a traitor. And we've seen that in a lot of pre roundtable discussions where they'll say, I need to see where the group goes.
Right.
And I don't know, as we whittle down the numbers, like I just think they're gonna have to be have more conviction on who they actually think is a traitor or not. And I'll be interested to see them do that. Also, interestingly, we talked a little bit about like Ron unfairly getting heat over Colton and being wrong, but Eric has also gotten zero heat, which I think, to be clear, I think nobody deserves heat at all for like saying something that they think is true and then it ends up being wrong. But it's just interesting to me that like nobody has held the I heard Tiffany laughing thing against Eric. And I think it just comes down to people like him.
I think you're right too. Like Philip and I talked about that a lot in our episode talking about Eric. Because that is like a pretty embarrassing mistake, honestly. Like especially after
He's like
he like
99% sure. Like he could have at least been like, maybe, maybe not, but it kind of sound no, he's like 99%.
and he's like, I'm an artist. I listen to music all the time. I have this perfect ear, like all this stuff. And then it's just like he picked like the wrong black lady, and it's like, ooh, like.
No, that's literally what happened too. But he was so embarrassed to get it wrong that nobody ever brought it up again. He never brought it up again. Yeah, yeah. Bad.
um,
But again, that's why like having friends is good gameplay because people don't get as mad at you when they like you and they want, you to stick around. Um Yeah, that's too funny. Have you seen online? I'll have to send it to you. Someone did like a remix of the Michael quote where he says to Eric, like, magic ears. And several of the cast members have been dancing to it. And Eric and Mark do a really good dance to the like magic
no.
ears remix. I'll send it to you. It's good.
Oh, thank you. I would love to see that. That's awesome. Yeah, good for him. That's actually, speaking of, the next segment is what I wish I could say. I actually said to Eric on the last episode, I was like, I'm proud of you for speaking up in episode 5 and like saying like what he said about Michael, and like he was super eloquent and great at the round table. about Michael, and I was like, I'm so glad that you didn't let your horrible, embarrassing mistake about Tiffany keep you from doing that. Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to say about the episode before we do what I wish I could say?
No, I thought I've been loving the season. I feel like it's the most fun I have watching television right
Yeah, it's
now.
such a good show. It's definitely one of the best reality shows ever made, in my opinion. It's so fun.
And to the point of, like, there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah,
Like, it's been how long has it been? A while. And I don't know, there's just all the relationships and the fashion and the strategy and the puzzles, like, there's just so many different layers to it, and there's, like, something for everybody, I feel like. And this is, like,
totally.
I don't watch a lot of these other shows that these people are coming from. Like, most of the people in any given cast of Traitors, I've never even seen before, and I still love it. It is always, like, kind of a Brendan always says this, like, the first episode is always a little jarring because people will be like, "You don't understand, like, so and so is the ultimate gamer," and I'm always like,
Ooh.
I don't know. Like, I didn't see, like, Big Brother or Survivor or whatever, but I feel like you get to know people pretty quickly, as they're getting to know each other, and I don't know, it's just, like, always such a fun mix of people, and I wish they, didn't cast, you know, a few, like, controversial people every season. I hope production is a little more careful about that moving forward, but for the most part, I feel like it's a fun mix of people, and yeah, I look forward to it every week.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, I'm excited, especially now that I didn't even hear that thing about like Alan hyping up episode 7 so much. Now I'm like super pumped.
It's gonna be a big one. I'm pumped.
All right. So do you want to do what I wish I could say? Do you have someone in
Yeah, I wanna talk to Rob.
mind? Okay.
Okay. I feel like, should I do it like I'm actually talking to him?
Yes.
Okay. Rob, I say this because I love you and I want you to stay on my TV for as long as possible. I want you to make it to the end of this game, and we have a season where the Traitors win, specifically you. You have to start framing this as a game. I love that you have friends and you're so kind, and I don't think that you should lose that spark. But at the end of the day, this is a game, and you're not murdering people for real. You're not banishing people for real. Let's think strategy. Don't alienate your fellow traders. Continue to make friendships with your faithfuls, and I think you have the ability to win this game. But you can't feel guilty about who you banish or murder, or this is going to be way too hard for you. And I guess this is now to you. Something resonated with me. I think that you said where it's like he's a traitor playing the game as a faithful. And I do think it's great for his game right now, but it's going to eat him up when he needs to make difficult decisions that involve banishing and murdering his friends. So, Rob, keep your head in the game. You can do this, but you have some hard choices coming up, and you're going to have to buckle up and make them. But I believe in you.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay. Let me think. I think I want to speak to Ron. I'm just gonna say, Ron, you were a delight to watch on the show. I know that it wasn't the experience you thought it was gonna be, and I just want to say that like you handled it really gracefully, and um, I feel like it was great that you made it as far as you did, given how in the very first episode you were set up to fail by Portia and like some of her like choices that nobody can understand.
And
um,
everyone would have reacted the same as you.
Everyone would have reacted the same as you, and if you didn't bring this to the round table, people would have thought you were a traitor probably. So you had no choice, and you spoke very eloquently. You spoke about evidence, and you had evidence, which is something that you don't get on this show, especially that early. very often. So I just want to commend you on that. I'm so sorry you got dealt a horrible, horrible hand by fate, by Portia. But I think it actually is a testament to who you are that you lasted as long as you did after that, because you, I think people just kept prioritizing other people over you because you come across so genuine and so sweet. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that you didn't have a great experience, but it was a joy to watch you.
And hopefully he gets some redemption in like the reunion episode and stuff. Like I have to think some people are gonna have an apology to give him.
I think so too. I hope that that goes well. I hear apparently he said on social media that Dorinda said some like really hurtful things to him that never aired. Um,
I saw that too. And I will say, I think he also got not only unfair treatment by all the faithfuls, by them suspecting him, like you said, for bringing objective evidence, but also he got a bad edit. I thought he was treated unfairly by production because he almost lost me to his cause. Not this past episode, but the episode before where Dorinda was like, Ron, I'm just trying to get to know you. And he was like, well, I'm not interested in getting to know you or, learning about your family. And it made him seem really aggressive. And Brandon and I were like, what are you doing, Ron? Like, people are finally starting to take your side. And then you're just like slapping them away. But it makes so much more sense that he would react that way if, as he's now said, Dorinda has been really hostile or rude to him. Like, yeah, then maybe you say, well, I don't want to get to know you. And so they definitely made him look like the bad guy and Dorinda look like, his victim, when really I think if we had gotten the full picture, it would have been the opposite.
Yeah, totally agree. Fingers crossed that we get a good explanation in the reunion for that. I don't know if you watch Secret Lives of Forward Wives, but this most recent reunion was just awful. And they like didn't actually show any of the stuff that we were like hoping that they would in the reunion. So I have lost my faith in a lot of reality TV show reunions because of that. But hopefully this one's good because that is something I do want to see answered. Is like, what did Dorinda say to him to make him react that way? Like, yeah.
And I
So
think now that he has like the backing of the fans and he's getting so much support from people who are rightfully upset at how he was treated on the show, hopefully that will give him confidence at the reunion to say, like, this was really unfair what happened to me. And he got there in the last roundtable. I mean, he totally clocked Colton and saying, why have you come after me and not him? So hopefully he'll have, like, knowing that he has the backing of the fans, will have the confidence to say, like, what happened wasn't okay and let's talk about it.
yeah, yeah, it'll be a good one. Hopefully. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This was super, super fun, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I would love to do episode 7 with you next week too, if you want to.
Girl, I maybe it'll be overhyped, but I'm like, I'm ready. He used the word carnage, which I'm just like, what does that mean? Because theoretically, they're only murdering one person. So is it just like accusations start getting flung everywhere? Does Candace turn on Rob? I hope not. Um, I don't know. And the fact that like we're getting all that drama in the outfits that we've seen teased, like that, those two things together.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited.
Well, have a great week.